Welcome to History That Matters. And I'm right now with eminent economist and Sanskrit scholar, Dr. Bibek Debroy sir. Though I'm right now at your office only, but I welcome you to this platform. And it's really, I'm holding a book of sirs, which is a translation of Markandeya Puran, and I have not finished it yet. I'm going through it. I'm finding it very interesting because I have interest in this subject, and the salutations used, like what we have seen in Sanskrit texts, like "O Indra among the buds" or "O Indra among the Brahmanas," something like this. You have kept it as it is, which you say that as unabridged translation. So your take on this unabridged concept of
I will quote Chapman's translation of Homer, or Chapman's introduction to his translation of Homer, where Chapman says, "My job is to present Homer to the audience.
okay.
My job is not to present Chapman to the audience." So most of the texts that I have translated, except Valmiki Ramayana, they are by Veda Vyasa.
Right.
So my objective is to try and make it as authentic as is possible and to render into English what Veda Vyasa said in Sanskrit. Okay. To the extent possible, Bibek Debroy should not get in the way, Bibek Debroy should not intrude. It is a bit of a coincidence that you should have brought the Markandeya Puran. The Markandeya Puran has a significant section which is known in parts of North India as Durga Shaptashruti,
Right.
and is known in Bengal as Chundi. Even now, in many parts of Bengal, people still recite Chundi.
Are you satisfied with the performance of the or the activities of the literature of the Sanskrit scholars, and your take on the Western interpretations of Indian ancient texts?
I have three kinds of reactions to this. Sanskrit is taught very badly.
Sanskrit is taught very badly in our country.
In our country. Sanskrit is a language. The word for language is bhasha.
Right.
Bhasha means something that is spoken. And this is the way we learnt our respective languages. We started to speak it, we made mistakes, and then we were corrected. You don't learn a language by memorizing grammar tables.
Right.
Sanskrit is taught generally by memorizing grammar tables, which puts children off Sanskrit. The grammar tables have a logic of their own, but you don't realize it until you have learned quite a bit of Sanskrit. So that's what I mean by Sanskrit being taught badly.
Okay.
The second kind of reaction I have is the Sanskrit Pandits are not interested in translating these texts,
Okay.
which I find a little bit odd, because Vedanta, Upanishads, they are for people who want to be liberated from samsara, moksha. Most of us are in samsara. Amongst crores of people, only a few will strive for moksha. What is the dharma that is to be followed by people like us? That dharma is set out in Itihas Purana, Itihas as in Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the Puranas, which is why they are referred to as Pancham Veda, fifth Veda. The Sanskrit Pandits are not interested in translating these things. So if you look at Sanskrit from the Western point of view, it is reduced to either Upanishads or it is reduced to literature like Kalidas.
Okay.
But Sanskrit is also about day-to-day living. These texts are also about day-to-day living. Now, sort of Western scholars, we may criticize them, but let us recognize that the Western scholars have also done a lot to rediscover Sanskrit, whether it is Max Muller or whether it is someone else. It is true that they sometimes get things wrong, but if they get things wrong, then it is up to us to translate and point out how they have got those things wrong.
Are you optimistic about this, that these issues will be resolved, or will be much more eager to read these texts?
I'm optimistic and I'm also pessimistic.
Okay.
I'm optimistic because my translations have been received very well, not just in commercial terms, which means amongst the younger generation, there is a desire to know. There is a desire to learn. So at that level, I'm optimistic because amongst the younger generation, there is this desire to discover the roots, to discover these texts. I'm pessimistic because I do not find any other people who will go ahead and do the translations.
So then, these Puranas in particular, other than Vedas and Upanishads, all these things and all these elements are reduced to, or rather diminished to stories only, old stories or
That's
something.
right.
So that's the sad part. I believe that that's the sad part.
Yes, it is the sad part. It is Puranas for dummies.
Right. So what can be done to make these things, to take out these scientific references?
That's the same thing actually, because someone has to translate them in unabridged form.
Right.
In English, because English is the language most people are familiar with today.
Right. And another important part, in your book you have written that you have said that also to also go through the original Sanskrit text. I find it very interesting, that particular line. Uh, I also believe that the original texts also need to be read, so that Sanskrit lives. If Sanskrit lives, I believe our society will live, and civilization, we can take pride of that. So I thank you very much.
Thank you.
For giving your time and for being in this platform.